The Ultra Dot Reflex Aiming Optic utilizes a light-emitting diode to project a precise aiming point for the shooter. Acquire targets faster, engage with greater confidence. Perform with unmatched efficiency. Shooters who adopt reflex sight technology will immediately experience the benefits of this aiming breakthrough. Once felt like science fiction, now science fact. Step into the next generation of shooting performance. Enter the new millennium, more deadly than ever.
I lack a cool YouTuber background, so we're doing this thing with my plants and an extreme backlit, just terrible lighting. That's how we're rolling. Actually, I did bring a lamp, so 1 second. Yeah, a lamp with no lampshade. Look at how much that balanced the lighting out. I'm a pro. I wanted to talk about my goofy little introduction into red dot shooting. This is my first pistol with a red dot on it. I have been an avoider of pistol red dots for a long time. It's got to be some kind of like reminiscent boomer gene in my firearms philosophy. I don't know what to call it other than just it hasn't been something that's ever really appealed to me. But I first came across this setup many years ago, and I saved a photo to my phone. And so for a long time, this has kind of been, lingering around inside the little frontal lobe there. But what I'll do is I'll bring you in. You can get the overhead shot, and because I don't have a cool background, and who wants to look at my face and a small gun. So we'll bring you in, and we can kind of talk about this fun little setup. In the spirit of red dots, we'll whip out the red and white schmag. Now look at that. Isn't that a lovely palette? Let's get it all the way in frame. Why not? Okay. The gun. So I figured what I'll do is just kind of go through all of the components of it and just kind of talk about little bits and pieces and fun little anecdotes. Why not? The whole shebang. So first off, I said I came across this idea from a photograph. I'm gonna say this is my most clone correct, and even that it's pretty far off. I opted for my Commander Hammer instead of the Wilson Combat, and extended little mag release button that I have there, and of course the flared mag well is a bit different. So, but overall, this has kind of lived rent free in my brain for a while now, and I came across this red dot when I was shopping at the gun store that I normally buy firearms at. This was sitting on top of like a Ruger Mark III, and I just asked the guy if I could buy the scope, and he was into it. So that's how I came across this. Because I had done no research on it, it was just a scope that I remember seeing from that photograph. I really thought that it would be much harder to source. So when I got it, it did not have this eyepiece that I have electrical taped on, because why not? I didn't have the eyepiece, didn't have this, you can kind of see it, but there is a little thread protector in cap there. Didn't have that. So I really thought it was going to be difficult to source some parts for it. But Ultra Dot is still in business and still making this, just the Gen 2 version. I've had I honestly do like the Ultra Dot quite a bit. As you can see, it's definitely got its fair share of wear and tear. The little battery removal slot, however you want to call it, is pretty tired. But I was going to say, I like this red dot a lot. I actually rocked it on a Blood Diamond carbine that I had at a little carbine match, and I got third. So hey, second loser, not bad. But I had a lot of good luck with it. I shot it at an unknown distance course, and it performed again well. So I have a lot of faith in Ultradot, and I do kind of like the retro vibe that they're bringing, or that they bring rather. But this style of scope ring, where it clamps vertically, I suppose, as opposed to horizontally. Anyways, I like these old, more retro style scope rings for it. I was really happy that they still make them, and actually, I bought other Ultradot scope rings just to achieve a retro look on some other rifles. So I like them. I'm a fan of them. I don't think that they're necessarily a combat optic. They're probably not that strong. But for overall performance that I've had with them, I really truly enjoyed it. So, and this one, pretty fat dot in there, but not bad. I really do enjoy the Ultradot, and I have looked at buying other ones, but really this one just gets kind of bounced around. It was on, like I said, it was on my little Blood Diamond carbine. Then it was on, I have like a little like 1990s, maybe closer to, I forget which Black Ops it is, the one that takes place in the 1990s. I had it sitting on top of there for a while, but now I think it's found its home in this Clone Correct 1911. So, all right, now let's talk about the rail. Maybe actually, I'll take the scope off. Of course, we'll have to re-zero this, but I figure we can look at the rail, kind of talk about it. Go from there. I'm going to just pop it off and put it super. My shift. That's okay. Probably the downside of these clamshell style ones. I think it's maybe clamshell, but okay. That should be good. Yep. There it sits. So here it is, just with the rail. Okay, so mounting is done with these 4 screws. You will, drill and tap as you normally would. Now, the keen observer of you will notice that on the label, where it would normally say Clark's Custom Guns, there's a big old hole in the way. Well, funny thing that ended up happening was when I was going to do this in my garage. I was just going to knock it out and hope for the best that my center punch and hand drilling skills were up to par. And then I realized I'll spend a little extra money, but then they'll be mounted, straight center and good to go. What ended up happening though is the guy, I think, now he's a great gunsmith, and you can actually see his little center mark. He re-added that, because what ended up happening is pretty funny. The rail was just slightly off center, so the scope was sitting up there, but it was sitting kind of like this. And I thought that I had just not mounted the scope right. I thought that it wasn't level, or rather straight and in line. So I was messing with the scope, and then the more I was looking at it, I realized that it was crooked. Anyways, I took it back to him, and he was very embarrassed and very apologetic. And he quoted me. He said, "Hey, can you give me a week on it?" Because he was really behind, or he just had a lot of stuff, not necessarily behind. And then I finished class, and then bam, it was done that afternoon. So these little pins here are not part of the mounting process. He did that to double, triple ensure that the rail was now 90 degrees on top of the slide. So now the actual, I guess I could have started with the name of it, but so right, Clark's Custom Gun. When I was looking for this scope base, I kept encountering the one that has the kind of shot out front sight and the shot out rear sight. Actually, the Ultradot website shows this red dot on a 1911, and it has those little backup sights on the rail. And the other fun thing is that this was, I say cheap, that's the wrong term. It was a very reasonably priced part. I was expecting, as you do with so much custom gun parts, especially like 1911, like match grade. No! They're usually hundreds of dollars, but this rail was only $40. I think somewhere in that ballpark. I don't have the actual figure with me, but I think it's in the ballpark of $40. We're going to feel real stupid if I look it up and have to edit in that it was like $500 and I'm just dumb. Yeah, so I just wanted this just regular rail on there. Now, one of the things that I have discovered due to my introductory to red dot pistol shooting is that I think in that photo, to me, what it looks like is that, so my rail right now is unmodified. It is, two parallel lines from where that curved base is, and right, flat rail. So the rail and the bore axis are two parallel lines depicted by my wonderful way of my fingers there. Anyways, so I think because the top of the rail and the bore axis are parallel, what ended up happening is in this red dot, to zero it, you may notice that you're looking right through it. You see how low it is? So you almost have to tilt the optic at an angle. So, instead of looking through it just through and through, you almost have to look at it through the top end and out the bottom end of it, just to get the red dot more centered. But so what I realized in that photo, that's how you make a long story short and a short story longer, is whomever the owner of the pistol in the photo is, I believe he tapered this line so that way the rail, instead of sitting parallel to the bore axis, is actually kind of tilted down, which makes sense for close range shooting. So I zeroed this at 25 meters, and I had to dang near bottom out that dot. So either way, my introduction to red dot pistol shooting has been interesting. It's not something I normally do. I like iron sights on pistols, and I think mainly it's because I'm not a good enough pistol shot to feel like I've earned the convenience of the red dot. So that's my copium of why I don't do it. Really, it's probably because I'm cheap and all my pistols are very old models. Like none of my I think my Glock 17 is the only pistol with a accessory rail. But and of course, it's but a humble Rock Island, which I really have grown super fond of. I really do like Rock Island. They're dirt cheap, and I've had pretty good luck with this one. It's got to be in the probably thousands of rounds by now. God knows. But I just kind of wanted to share with y'all this fun little build, and I don't know. I think that it's kind of a fun little throwback to the history. Actually, we'll bring in a little show and tell real quick. Okay, quick little show and tell. I recently bought this old. This is a red dot from 1987, and it's currently on my little Gordo carbine. I bought it because it looks like the Aimpoint 2000. But the thing that I thought was really interesting about this is that I didn't really realize that red dots on pistols, kind of in this style, this like prehistoric is the wrong way to put it. This old, humble beginnings of what race guns are, and that's why I really was fond of this pistol setup when I first came across that image of it, was just because it was a very, in a sense of like, super tactical. We've all seen race guns. They got the gas pedal, anodized parts, and to me, they're a little extra. They're a little bit too extra for my my taste and my flavor. But I'll talk about this later. This to me was just like this felt like a very humble man's race gun. It's still got the wood grips on it. Yeah, it's got the super red dot, but I mean, at its core, it's just a 1911 ready to go. So that was, I think, my major appeal to it. But I was really impressed with. I guess I didn't really realize that the shooting race gun world, however you want to put it. I just wanted to share my goofy little race gun. We'll call it that. We'll call it retro race gun. But I had a lot of fun shooting it. And actually, so in the intro, when I did I sprinted by the target and really like lit it up. What's funny is with this, I really expected, because I was just like running and shooting, that I would miss way more than I did, and I actually was kind of surprised with the fact I kept the full volley of rounds on target. But again, that's just because I'm bad. So mediocre performance is always surprising to me. If you have an old Rock Island and you want to goof it up a little bit, if you've got other guns and things like that, do one of these. This is fun. I said the only thing I would do different about this build now is if it wasn't, it is locked in place now. Those pins are like an AK barrel. They're like pressed in. So this rail is a permanent addition to this slide. So, but that's okay. I'm okay with the setup. The only thing I would really make sure I do different is make sure that I would taper down, make sure that this slide sits at just a little bit of an angle, bring this end lower than this end, just to make sure you get that kind of nice meetup of scope and axis. So there's probably some scientific terms I could have used in there, but I just am not smart enough to do that.
A
But
fellow scientist.
either way, I know this is kind of just a quick little flash in the pan video. I really just wanted to kind of share this fun little pistol build that I made. I'm a big fan of it, and I think it'll be a fun little range toy. Bring people out, show them something goofy. Or maybe I'll go to a pistol match where they're all shooting like race Glocks, and I'll I'll show up with my 1911. Show them what 2 World Wars looks like with a red dot. Anyways, I'm yapping. That's my silly little race gun. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me, and bye-bye. Red Bull suppressor. To ping pong about. But I forgot my train of thought.